Welcome to the Women of Ihsan podcast. I'm your host, Sophia, and this is an invitation to join me and our amazing guests to find inspiration and insights into your own journey to Ihsan. If you ever feel overwhelmed or confused along the way, I'm also here to support you so you can tackle your challenges with confidence and make progress towards this lofty goal. To find out more about my work, check the episode description and make sure to subscribe.
والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
Bismillah wa salat wa salam ala Rasulillah. Welcome to a new episode of the Women of Ihsan podcast. Today, it's an absolute pleasure to have Jayda Zaman joining from London. From a maths teacher to an entrepreneur, Jayda founded the world's first acclaimed baby brand with a Scandinavian influence and faith inspiration. After a traumatic loss of her baby that left her unable to utter her name for 3 years, Jayda now uses her pain as motivation. Her faith guides her to believe that even in tough times, there's a bright side. She is devoted to instilling faith in children, uniting families, and creating meaningful connection. Jayda, thanks again for making the time today. I'm super excited and super happy to have you again. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. And I'm super excited to be on your show as well.
Thank you so much. I want to get to know more about yourself, and I'm sure the audience will be interested in knowing about your background and if you have, if you want to share your personal story with us as well. I kind of touched upon it in the bio, but go ahead and share with us.
Yeah, so my name is Jayda. I'm actually a qualified maths teacher by profession. I studied math, science, and psychology actually for my degree. And I later on, I had no intention to, but I later on became a maths teacher. It was the one subject I thought, oh, I probably won't pursue further, but you know what? Allah plans, you plan and Allah plans, and I ended up becoming a maths teacher. But further on from that, after I got married, and I got pregnant, I had some of the worst pregnancies. And when I say some of the worst, I mean like sickness for 9 months, sciatica, back pains, you name it. And with each pregnancy, it was kind of getting worse, my symptoms. So, subhanAllah, unfortunately, on my third pregnancy, when I was only a few weeks away from giving birth, I lost my daughter. And it was very sudden. There was no ailments or anything on part of my baby. So I went into early labor. And it was an extremely traumatic experience for me because number one, my health wasn't great. The baby was perfectly fine. And to just suddenly find out that you've lost her, it was absolutely horrendous for me to deal with. To the point where I actually couldn't even say her name. I couldn't talk about the event. It took about 3 years for me to kind of come to terms with even saying her name.
SubhanAllah.
And after that 3 years, actually, it's more because I think me and my husband went to Hajj. And that sort of started my spiritual healing, I guess, because that was the first time I was able to talk about her. I was able to actually talk about the event without breaking down or freezing, which I'd literally go numb if anybody asked me. But yeah, subhanAllah. And then the year after that, I went to Aqsa as well. So me and my family, we've actually been a couple of times, alhamdulillah, to Jerusalem and gone to visit Aqsa. And I think an accumulation of going to Hajj and going to Aqsa and all that, it kind of helped me heal spiritually, shall we say. It almost kind of like made me feel like, each time I did talk about it, I was actually helping others to see that they can overcome their struggles too. And when you see that your struggles are something, it's almost like an inspiration, I guess, for other people to see that you can come out of the darkness. But what got me through the darkness was the most important thing, which is our faith. And I felt like if I didn't have faith, if I didn't have the bigger picture to look at, would I be where I am today? And when I went to Hajj and when I went to Al-Aqsa and I saw all these people who were struggling in Palestine, it actually really broke my heart. And, we hear about it and we see it on footage, but when you actually are in that place and you hear it from their mouth, it's a whole different experience. So when I was in Al-Aqsa, I remember this lady actually saying to me, you guys can come all the way from the other part of the world, and you get on a plane and you come all the way here and you come to the masjid and they say to you to, welcome. Because when you're a Westerner, they don't stop you. They allow you to come into Al-Aqsa compound.
Mm-hmm.
Because I live literally down the road. I literally
Mm-hmm.
live about 10 minutes away from Al-Aqsa and I am denied entry. I cannot come in. And
Subhanallah.
and she said this in such a way that it really struck me, because then she ended it with, Al-Aqsa is crying for its ummah. Where are you, O ummah? And when I heard those words, I literally teared up, because it made me realize this place, this Al-Aqsa, is not just for the Palestinians. It is for the ummah. We're meant to be filling it up just the way we fill up Makkah and Medina. When we go there, it's, millions of people. But where are they when it comes to Al-Aqsa? How are we playing our role as part of the ummah and actually doing justice to the third masjid where we're meant to be going? And when I was there, it dawned on me that we need to be doing more.
Mm-hmm.
And we were having this discussion with me and my husband were having this discussion within Al-Aqsa, and I was saying to him, wouldn't it be amazing if we could create something, a company, a business? I don't know what, at that time I didn't know what it is I wanted, but I said, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to create something that has so much barakah in it, that we could be the answer to the du'as of those who are oppressed. And that's where the name Once Upon a Dua actually comes from. It's literally from that discussion, and the fact, and it also has a deeper meaning. It's the du'as that parents make for their children. So Once Upon a Dua represents a lot of meaningful and deep kind of thoughtful process before we came to that name.
I absolutely love that name.
Thank you. So after that, when we actually came back to London, that experience, it stays with you. When you've witnessed all that and you've gone to all these beautiful, important places. And we were quite blessed because we actually had speakers that also went. Have you heard of Sheikha Mariam?
Yes.
Yeah, so she went on that visit with us, with one of the groups that we went with, and it was so beautiful, because the very reason we went with that group is because we wanted my daughter to also see role models of people who are sheikhs and sheikhas who she can relate to, and my son to also see the same. And Sheikh Hasid Noor was there as well, so it was really, really nice. Like, my son was quite young and he was calling Sheikh Hasid Noor Sheikh Dude, so till this day Sheikh Hasid Noor knows him as the kid who called him Sheikh Dude. So it was such a beautiful experience for my children to see that. Until this day, when my daughter wrote a story about her hijab experience, she actually mentions Sheikha Mariam, because she actually met her for the first time in the Al-Aqsa compound, and she actually had that conversation about the people of Al-Aqsa within the Al-Aqsa compound. And can you imagine somebody saying to you, just over there is where Burak landed, just over there is where Zakaria alayhi salam made dua. Just over there is where Maryam alayhi salam had the fruits sent to her. Can you imagine sitting on the courtyards? I had goosebumps. Even when I talk about it, I get goosebumps. We as adults get that impact just from hearing that. But as a child, they absorb this information and it actually molds them to become that person because of what they hear, what they see, the experiences they have. So we've always wanted our children to have experiences that impact them in a positive way, and especially something that brings them closer to their deen. So we intentionally actually took them to Al-Aqsa to meet these people. And yeah, so I mean, it's actually a very long story if I talk about Al-Aqsa, but let's kind of
I mean, it's very on point currently, and may Allah liberate Al-Aqsa. And
I mean, yes,
we don't have enough of one podcast episode to talk about that, but Alhamdulillah, I think it's a beautiful reminder everything that you've said. And
I think people forget the significance of,
exactly, yeah.
and
That's a
that's
good
the
reminder.
thing. Before we went to Al-Aqsa, we actually had intention to go Umrah with the kids. And it wasn't until we looked into it and we realized, oh, there's like lots of groups that actually go every year. Like there's hundreds and thousands of people that actually go every year. How come I never knew this? And we don't, because we don't see it like being advertised the way obviously Hajj and Umrah is different. It's because, you know, it's put on us that we should be doing these things. But Al-Aqsa is a choice. So this, I think, is the reason why a lot of people don't see it as the choice to go, because they always see the conflict rather than actually seeing what it's like as an everyday life when you're there. So we always we intentionally kind of go in Ramadan, and it's absolutely beautiful when you go in Ramadan. The atmosphere, it's just absolutely stunning, and your spiritual connection is so heightened. And the way I describe the place is, if you've ever been to Makkah and Medina, so the hustle and the bustle that you see in Makkah and the serenity that you feel in Medina, you actually feel that combination in Al-Aqsa within Ramadan. So it's absolutely the most amazing feeling. And when you leave, you just want to go back. So that's why we've been more than once. Even my children were like, I can't wait to go back.
Inshallah.
That's the kind of feeling you have when you're there. And leading up to our trip to Al-Aqsa, the first, like, we've been a couple of times, and each time we've made it a surprise for the kids. They didn't know they were going to Al-Aqsa. So, but leading up to it, what we did was we read a lot of stories for bedtime. We used to do bedtime stories, and we would literally read stories around Al-Aqsa. So stories about Maryam alayhi salam, stories about the jinns who built the walls in walls of Al-Aqsa, and by Sulaiman alayhi salam. So all these stories for them is magical. So imagine then stepping in that compound and it becomes a reality.
Amazing.
And they actually got to see the walls that they say are possibly what the jinns built, because the pillars are huge. They go, could humans possibly have built that? And then you get to actually go and pray in the very location where they say the Prophet ﷺ led the prayers there. You know, all these things, it's just subhanallah. Can you imagine the impact on a child's heart?
Yeah.
If we as adults can feel it, for a child, they absorb it so much more. And it's very impactful. So we actually, leading up to Al-Aqsa, we actually made it a surprise for them. We read about these stories, we talked about it. And then in beginning of Ramadan, we made dua as a family, saying, oh Allah, maybe you could allow us to go to Al-Aqsa. You know, it's a big dream, may you allow us. And we used to make duas, like as a family, we used to get the kids to make these duas. And I think Muslim Hands, I think, was the charity. There was a charity that was doing Light Up Al-Aqsa. So you can give money, and they put money towards lighting up Al-Aqsa. So we actually got them to phone up the charity, and they actually said, we would like to give money to light up Al-Aqsa. And then in Ramadan, we actually were saying, making dua, oh Allah, maybe we will be able to see the lights that we paid for in Al-Aqsa. So imagine all that leading up to it. And then we were like, oh, we took them to the airport as a surprise. And yeah, and then we actually got there, and the first moment we stepped onto the compound and they saw the Dome of the Rock, literally their faces, these are like a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old looking with tears in their eyes, like in shock.
Mashallah.
It was
I can't help but think, how we really need to change our mindsets as adults and for our children, because like if you ask any kids, oh, where do you want to go for the holiday? And what kind of answers are you going to get? Oh, I want to go to Disney World. I want to, but this is one perfect example of how you actually shift that mindset and how you put the focus on what a Muslim should be focusing on.
And this is why I think from all of that I've just said to you, I know it revolves a lot around inspiring faith, and it revolves a lot around going to a location that not everybody is able to go to or has ever even thought of going to. But ultimately, in the end, what I wanted was for my children to have their everyday life with reminders of our faith. And that's kind of where Once Upon a Dua comes into it, which is, up to the age of 7, we're not meant to teach our children our faith. We're not meant to actually sit there with a book and actually say, oh, this is the rules and this is what you need to learn. No, up to the age of 7, our Prophet ﷺ told us we should play with them and they learn from us. We, the parents, are their first madrasa. We at home are their first madrasa. So for us, it's a daily routine and it's our daily life to be able to know that before you eat, you do dua. Before you go to the toilet, there's a dua. Before when you come out, there's a dua. When you go step out the front door, you step out with your right foot. So we, my little one who's 3 years old, he knows the dua to go to the toilet. He knows the dua when he finishes his food. He know why? Because it's normal. It's not because, oh, he's super clever or he's learned. It's because it's an everyday thing where I'm doing it with him anyway. So he's finished eating and he'll now he naturally, if he wants something, this is his dua. Oh, Allah, Allah, I want some donuts. So he understands already that he can make dua and it'll come true. And and what we tend to do is if he does make dua like that, we'll be the ones to fulfill it. But we want him to be empowered enough to know that he can have these daily conversations, he can have these daily duas with Allah and ask for things. And I sometimes say, you might not always get it, but you know what? You should ask. And, maybe if you do more good things, you might get rewarded with what it is that you want. So we obviously intentionally will like have these conversations and make sure that he makes the duas in the right way and stuff. And it's beautiful because he's seeing the parents do it. He's seeing his older siblings do it. So of course he's gonna. And that's kind of where our products come into, inspiring faith in our children and bringing the community together, bringing the family together, strengthening those bonds, and also strengthening their connection with their creator without actually sitting down and teaching them.
Yeah, mashallah. And through storytelling, like you said about Al-Aqsa, it's all about telling these stories, true stories.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like for them, who are their superheroes? It shouldn't be who we watch on a TV screen that have been, characters that have been made up. It should be real life stories. So when I talk about Sulaiman alayhi salam and how he could control the jinns, they're like, wow, like how? And it's fascinating for them. It's fascinating for us as adults. But it's amazing that they can actually say this really happened. And then when I actually took them to see the pillars and stuff, and I said, look, this is where they say the jinns built these walls, they were like absolutely amazed.
Mashallah.
I got them to stand next to it and took pictures so they can actually remember the size of these pillars against themselves. So,
amazing. And I think it will give some of us, good ideas to take our kids.
Yeah, honestly, going with family, it was one of the best things I did. I was quite apprehensive before I went. All I ever saw was the conflicts and everything.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I realized hundreds and thousands of people go all the time that I realized, hold on, this is actually quite normal. People even do long weekends. They actually do Jummah in Al-Aqsa with some of these tour groups. They'll do like a Friday to Monday kind of 4-day, trips. And if anybody is interested, feel free to get in touch. I'm more than happy to give the details of the tour groups that I went with and the experiences I had. And I've got some posts as well on Once Upon a Dua official on Instagram, where you can actually see some videos and footage of when I went with my children. I even did a little video of going into Maryam alayhi salam's quarters. And honestly, it's just absolutely something that you don't see every day. But I hope it inspires people to go.
Amazing. I'll make sure to go and check those videos out.
Honestly.
Inshallah. Yeah, that's first thing I'm going to do after that.
I had a friend that actually, after she saw my videos to Al-Aqsa, she actually ended up going with her 9 members of her family.
Mashallah.
Yeah, and she goes, I can't wait to go back.
Inshallah, may we all be granted to go there when it's liberated, and we can all pray together there with the people who actually are indigenous, the Palestinians who live there, who've been living there for generations, and with, the wider Muslim Ummah, because it is our holy site.
Yeah.
Wherever we are in the world, it's not the Palestinians' holy site, it is the holy site of the Muslims.
This is
where our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed with all of the prophets. So yeah, we have to put that on our radar.
Yeah.
Like we do for Umrah, Hajj, Al-Aqsa should be actually
Can you
part
imagine
of
that being on your list to visit from a young age? Like, and I say to my children, you guys are blessed. You've been more than once. You
Yeah.
know, my youngest, who's 3 years old now, he was 1 when I went with him, and that was his first ever holiday.
Mashallah.
And he still
Yeah, that's
remembers.
amazing.
Now, whenever he sees pictures of, he was 1 year old, but he still remembers. If he sees pictures of Al-Aqsa, he goes, "Oh, I did Allah there. I did Allah." So he did Allah Akbar there. So he'll say it.
Oh,
So,
mashallah. Amazing.
it's lovely for them to have this sort of like memories. But like obviously with my brand, what I wanted to do is like, not everybody can go to these destinations to have these impacts. But what I wanted was our everyday lives to revolve around our faith, and our everyday lives, like I said, when I do certain things with the children, like reading the du'as and stuff, it's part of their daily routine. So like I'll give you an example. When I say want to inspire faith in our children, one of the first things I created, one of the first products I designed was a hijabi doll. And that's the one my daughter talks about when she talks about hijab, saying she's the one who inspired me to create this doll. And she was my inspiration because I wanted her to be able to resonate with something that is not only beautiful, but also relates to people around her, and also something that is quality that she would be able to hold on to and cherish and be proud of keeping, that she can pass on to her daughter. So I was thinking there's nothing out there that exists in terms of a keepsake or something that she can relate to and say, this is so beautiful that I can hold on to, and I wouldn't want to play with it like every other doll, and I wouldn't want to I'd be happy to put this in my room somewhere that I can cherish and I can pass on to my daughter and say, look, it looks like us. It looks like the way we dress. So I actually based it on the way I dress and the way my daughter dresses with her long dresses and stuff. So that's kind of where the design idea came from. And then on top of that, because when I started the brand, I said I wanted to help the ummah. My husband actually found some Turkish artisans to crochet these for us. And these artisans are actually moms. And so they get a source of income when and we give them the designs to create these dolls for us. So they get a source of income and we get to bring these dolls into the market. So it inspires faith in the next generation. So
Amazing.
It's a full circle of trying to
Yeah,
benefit.
alhamdulillah. Exactly. Yeah.
And this is the thing. And like, that was one of the first products I actually showed on our Instagram and went viral instantly as soon as I showed those. And alhamdulillah, in January, they were actually featured in Vogue as well. And if anybody's after them, they are sold out. So they completely sold out. We used to reserve a couple for our pop-ups. So we've done John Lewis pop-ups a couple of times. And I used to reserve a couple of the products just for the pop-ups and not for our online sales. But people who knew that they were completely sold out online came early to our pop-ups and took them. So right now they are completely sold out. We've only got a couple of the male dolls, which are our sheikh dolls. So we call them little sheikha and little sheikh. So we've only got a handful of the little sheikh dolls left. But we are hoping to get some more made. I can't give a time of when they will be made because, like I said, it's made by these moms and we have to order a certain amount for it to be worthwhile for them as well. So, but that was one of our first products, and the kind of reaction we've had has been absolutely phenomenal. Who would have thought that kind of representation would be in Vogue? And the fact that I've had a lot of people, even non-Muslims, actually come and admire these dolls and say these are absolutely stunning, even from the way it's made to the aesthetics, everything. So alhamdulillah, that was just phenomenal, the kind of reaction I've had. And leading on from that, all the other products I've designed, there's always been a meaning behind it. There's always been a reason why we have the design we do on that product. And I think that's why I say, all the products we create, it's all about creating those conscious connections. And it's also about having those meaningful moments from these products.
Amazing.
Whether it's like you're feeding your child or whether it's like you've got a gathering with family, there's always something that's going to be there to create those conversations.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. That's really amazing. I really love all, the concepts and everything about Once Upon a Duha. Starting with the name again is just inspiring, and subhanallah, it says it all. So shifting back a little bit to your journey, because I'm really passionate about sharing all of these individual journeys, like you touched upon. This difficult time in your life that you had, and how these journey, like how these trips, let's say the trips to Mecca, Medina, Al-Aqsa, they helped you heal. At the same time, I'm wondering, before that, um, were there any, a misconception that you had, even growing up, like you were telling me before, that you grew up in a um, good practicing, household, like your parents and everything. But were there even then misconceptions, sorry, or limiting beliefs that were holding you back at some point, and how did you overcome them?
Do you mean after the loss? Do you mean after the
I mean, generally, like in your life, when you look back, was there any time where you had some kind of limiting belief that you got to break after some point, something that happened, and you realized this was holding me back?
I think as a visibly Muslim woman, we all do think that there is a limit to how much we can do and how much we can be seen out in the public, doing what we're doing. And like I've mentioned to you, like personally, I've mentioned, like, I come from quite a practicing family. So we were always like brought up like, women, we're the foundations of the home. If the women are, we were encouraged to be educated, but educated in a way that we would be able to pass that on to our children and bring up the family in a good environment, in a good way. And I think having that balance within the family as well is so important, because if both parents are always out, where does the child fall into that? So for us, we've got to consider these things. And in Islam, it's very clear cut, what the mother's role is, what the father's role is. And that's why there's a lot of like, I think from my parents, it was very much like, you've got to understand, as a woman, and obviously as a practicing woman, how you can be seen and where you can be seen and what you can do. So when I qualified as a teacher, for them, it was a respectful job for me to be in. I'm not only teaching children, I'm also a maths teacher. So for them, it's like, okay, the education is there. I'm also, empowering children. And, there was a lot of positivity in teaching. And it's also seen as a very respectful job. So never did I dream that I would leave that kind of role and then work 24/7 with a baby in tow as well. So I think, I back then I never dreamed that I could be a business owner, although it was always in my heart. I wanted to do something, not because I wanted to own a business, but because I wanted to do something greater to help the ummah. I wanted to do something greater to help humanity, to make the world a better place. I always used to look into how can I help women who are destitute? How can I help orphanages? I always had this dream that I want to open up my own orphanage.
So how did the shift happen?
So I think I always used to like obviously look into how can I do charity in that sense, but never like me personally be able to create a business that actually impacts and helps. That shift happened, like I said, when I thought, wouldn't it be amazing to create a business? I always wanted to work with my husband. I had this dream, like I wish I could always do something with my husband because he had the very similar mindset to me. And that really helps because, it's a lonely journey when you're the only one, with these dreams and aspirations, and there's no one there to encourage you and no one there to talk to about these dreams and aspirations. And I always used to do, I used to always have these conversations with my husband, like, wouldn't it be amazing to have enough money to be able to get these people out of there, to be able to do this, to be able to create some, you have these passionate conversations, but nothing comes of it because you don't have anything to fall back on. And he was in a cushy job, so there was no way he's going to leave that company and because we've got bills to pay. How is he going to just leave that? So it wasn't until COVID hit and I was extremely unwell with my fourth pregnancy that he ended up almost becoming like a single parent because I was bedridden. My health was so poor, I was bedridden. So he was not only looking after me, he's trying to work from home. He's also got 2 older kids to look after. He had to learn to cook. He had to learn to clean and do everything that I was doing. Finally, could see how much I was doing. But it gave him a different lens, I guess. And that kind of like made him realize, and he's one of those perfectionists that has to give his 100% no matter what he does. He has to like literally go beyond expectations. And he's one of those individuals. So for him, it was like, if I can't give 100% to this job, or I can't give 100% to my wife and kids, I have to let go of one of them. So, I always used to talk about starting a company and all of this, these conversations to help the ummah and all of this. So he actually left his job to look after me. And it was within that COVID time period where everybody's looking for work, that he actually ended up leaving his job. And he said, no, you guys come first. So we kind of like lived on our savings for a bit. And then that's when he decided, oh, I'm going to surprise her. Like when my baby was 3 months old, he's like, I've registered the company. So I'm like, you did what? So he's like, amazing. It's a surprise. I've registered the company you've always wanted to do. And we're going to do it. I go, you do realize I'm not in the best of health. I have a cold, and you want me to, so yeah, he goes, oh yeah, you're the director of this company now. You're like the CEO of this company. I'm like, but like, seriously? And like, I remember saying to him, he's like all excited and happy, like he's doing this for me. But I'm just like, okay, you really know your timing. But subhanallah, had he not done that, because his point
Let's walk the talk now.
yeah, so the thing is, like, had he not done that, yeah. So his point was, when is it a good time? Because we always talk about it. When is it a good time? And because I had a 3-month-old, I was able to try out all the products with him. So as he's grown up, he's tried everything, he's tested everything. Like one of the long sleeve bibs that I designed, we used very premium, soft, waterproof material on there. Whereas with my older children, they used to hate those crinkly overall bibs that you could just literally pull off because it had Velcro on the back and it was all crinkly, and it was just a horrible material and not comfortable at all. And they would always want to just pull it off. Whereas this one, I made it with like designed it so it has like poppers on the back, so they can't just pull it off. It's a soft material. It's got like elastic on the sleeves, so it's not going to just come off. And they can wear it from like, I think 6 months or 4 months to about like 2 years, 2.5 years. So it's got a really long time span for them to be able to use that as well. And because it's a soft material, my son doesn't want to just take it off. So when I'm in the car, when I'm on my way to a wedding, or I'm at the wedding, he's wearing that. He doesn't want to take it off because he doesn't see it as a separate item. He just sees it as part of his clothing. And because they're beautiful, I don't mind having them on him when he's eating and stuff, and he's not ruining his clothes and stuff. So the thought process behind a lot of the products that we created and stuff, it's not only functional, it's also inspiring faith, and it's also beautiful to look at. And everything that we do is also safety tested. So we wanted to take that burden off the parents and the families, and so all the products that we created, we actually, like I said, my husband is very meticulous and very much a perfectionist. We literally thought of everything A to Z. How can we design and create something? So obviously when he registered the company, my baby was only 3 months old. So that's literally, we've been working non-stop. I remember him in my lap while I'm designing things, while I'm in Zoom calls, while I'm in meetings, he was with me. So
MashaAllah.
yeah, it's been quite the journey, and it still is. It only just started school, so.
But you know what I was thinking is, subhanAllah, we really need, again, we've been so brainwashed by, this, Western pop culture, how does a love story look like?
Yeah.
And hearing like stories like yours with your husband, it's a beautiful love story. It's not the one that you find, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear more of that, so that we have other kind of, models in our minds. Like, because we can't help but, having these images, like, obviously, like you and I, we are past this point here. But I mean, the girls who are listening now, and they're not married yet.
Yeah.
What kind of, how are they, what kind of image, what kind of dream do they have about, their marriage, their, the husband, and, the married life,
Yeah. I think social media of the Western world has actually like filtered into our next generation to make them think, oh, you get a lot of like dramas and movies, and I think, what is it, those is it, oh god, those they have a lot of, like, it's not Chinese, like I've seen all these dramas literally keep coming up on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff, and it's all literally love stories which are very unrealistic, with very much materialistic values put on, poor girl meets a rich guy, that kind of story and narrative every single time. And I'm just like, can you imagine what these girls are thinking? Whereas our Prophet ﷺ already told us these are the values you should look for in a partner.
Exactly, yeah.
How many of us do that? Do we look for that? Number one, is their salah in order? What's their deen like? Just because somebody prays 5 times a day also does not make them a practicing person. You've also got to think about, what are their beliefs? What will their personality clash with mine because of my beliefs? There's a lot of things that we've got to think about. Looks also do play a part, but I genuinely feel like when you've gotten to know a person, their inner beauty shines through way more than an external beauty.
Especially through good character.
Good character, exactly. And when people talk about Noor, I genuinely see it in certain individuals when I know that, what, that's a really good person, and I can see what they do, and they want to, especially when you look at even people who are not Muslim, who are altruistic people who want to help others, you see this beautiful kindness in their face.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? You almost feel like, oh wow, if only they were Muslim. Can you imagine the reward they would get? So you make dua for them, that may Allah guide them before they leave this dunya, because all this work they're doing, the amount of reward they would get is phenomenal. But you can see that kindness in their character, in their personality. SubhanAllah, some of these people are amazing, and I always wish for them to find
same.
faith and SubhanAllah.
Same. SubhanAllah. And the opposite is true. Like, no amount of makeup, no amount of branding, or like however he or she might be styled, and on a magazine, they might look handsome, but when they start speaking, because they have such a bad character, like, I promise you, these people who you thought the minute before that, oh, they look so great, but when you start seeing the bad character that they have, how they treat people badly, like, they do not look beautiful anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just a fact.
So true.
And again, like you said, good character shines through.
Yeah.
Someone might look average, normal, but then they start speaking and get animated.
This is it.
And then this is where the beauty comes out, because of their good character, and how nice they are, how how generous they are, or whatever it may be, or when they get passionate about the subject, and
Is it, because you've got to also understand that person is going to be either the mother or the father of your children as well. How will things be as a person? Like, when you want to make a decision, will they support you?
Yeah.
Or maybe if you're making the wrong decision, will they guide you?
Yeah.
So you've got to find that balance. You've got to think, am I finding somebody who, like, with me and my husband, honestly, I do feel like his strengths are my weaknesses, and my strengths are his weaknesses, and we're like a team made like that really works for the business world, as well as, I wouldn't say we're perfect, and I actually tell everybody, do not ever work with your husband. I actually tell everybody, don't work with your husband, because it really tests you. Like, you're talking about the business 24/7. He comes home from the office, or I've gone to a meeting, I've come back. All we do is talk about the business. There's not a moment that goes by where we're not talking about the business, or we're not talking about something to do with the business. Like, it could start off as a normal conversation, but because our whole business concept revolves around inspiring faith in our children, and it literally revolves around our life, like how we are as people, and are we living up to what we say? Because you don't want to end up coming across as somebody who, I'm saying one thing, I'm advocating for something, but I'm a completely different person behind closed doors. You just can't be, especially when it comes to your faith. So, like, for us as parents, as business owners, we have to do what we say. we don't just say it. So that's why we actually put that in some of our posts and stuff. We say, as parents, we don't just say it, we do it. So when we talk about the safety of our products, to actually show that we go the full 9 miles to actually show that we have everything certified. We actually work with trading standards as well. We chose to work with trading standards, and they go through everything, whether it's on our website, whether it's our products, whether everything, and they'll tick it off so that parents don't have to worry, you know, are these guys legit? Are they safety tested? Are they? We make sure all of that's put in place. And then before we even like launched a lot of our products, we sent out to parents, judges, and we won, like, we're at 32 awards now.
Mashallah.
In the short space of time that we've launched, we have won 32 industry recognized awards. These are awards that you will see, you know, badges that you will see on products in Harrods, in Selfridges, in like the big stores and those really big names. I remember being in one of the competitions where we were up against Annabelle Carmel, Stokey, the White Company, like different categories within those companies, but you'll see these badges on their products. So when we actually got told, oh, you've got gold, and we won several gold, you know, I was like in utter shock. And I say to people, I don't think it's just what we do. I think it's down to our intentions. And I really genuinely think it's the power of du'as. And if you make the right kind of du'as with the right kind of intentions, Allah opens doors for you. And you know, our brand statement is dream big, make dua, move mountains. And we say to people, we are like, you know, a lot of people say it to us actually, you're emulating that brand statement. We had this huge dream to create something that helps the ummah, that inspires the ummah, that, you know, inspires faith in our children. We made so much dua for it and worked so hard for it. And today we've got 32 awards. Not only that, we've been featured in Vogue, Tatler, Glamour, you know, you name it. We've been in all the big publications. You know, subhanAllah, why? A small brand like ours, how? It's basically the power of du'as is what I can only ultimately say. And all these publications, they've reached out to us. We've never actually gone out of our way and said, you know, would you like to feature us? It was the other way around.
SubhanAllah, SubhanAllah, amazing.
And I still remember the first email I got, I think it was from Vogue, and they said, we love Once Upon a Dua.
First you check, is this a spam? What is it?
Exactly. And it was like, you know, we'd love to feature you in Vogue. And I'm like, what? Delete. I was literally ready to delete. And my husband was like, give me 2 seconds. Let me just look into it. Like I said, he's very meticulous. He looks into it. And I'm very much like, I'll skim. I'll just skim read. And he looked into it and he goes, oh my goodness, they're actually legit. They've actually reached out to us and they're legit. So we agreed to it. And that was like the first time we got, and I think it was as soon as we launched, we were in Vogue. And then it was just, subhanAllah, it was shocking. And then after that, it was like a cascade of things. Like we had a massive article written on us in the Evening Standard. We were in the Telegraph. The Telegraph named us as one of the top 12 companies. I think it's 12 companies, top 12 companies for gifting for Christmas. I was like, okay. But I think it's because they featured the products that had the words thankful, grateful, blessed. So these are these beautiful 100% bamboo bowls that we do for children, and each one has its own little silicone suction that you can take off and on. And these, obviously, they're very beautiful and sustainable as well because they're bamboo. And that actually got featured within the Telegraph. And because for me, I felt like, okay, we actually have a way of giving dawah because they can see the connection within our faiths. And the fact that, you know, we teach the same things. We teach that we should be thankful. We teach that we should be feeling blessed when we have this food on our plate. We should be grateful for the fact that we've got parents to feed us. And, you know, all these things. Imagine the conversations around those simple words. So that's the whole concept behind the brand as well, is to have those meaningful moments, have those meaningful conversations with your children. You know, I designed these dinner plates that it comes as a set of 4, and on each plate has a different quote. And on one of the quotes it says, "O mountains of Mecca, what did you see?" Imagine the conversations you have with your children when they say, what does it mean by mountains can see? What does Mecca mean? So the stories that come out of that is phenomenal. Mountains have a huge significance in not just our faith, but also like symbolically as well, what do mountains represent? And actually within our branding, where it says once upon a dwarf,
Yeah, I
a
saw that.
is the shape of a mountain.
Mountain, yeah.
And it represents not just how mountains are represented in our faith, because that's part of like the strength and the pillar of our faith. It also represents how we are as parents. Like, it's basically trying to say to moms, you've got this. You literally have the strength to help your children and inspire them with their faith. And actually, we're all going through our own journeys, but you've got this, but you've got to have that confidence. So we want our products to represent that whole, I guess, help to bring up those conversations, help to inspire that faith, not necessarily teach it, but it's like a tool to help with that faith.
That's incredible. I absolutely love every word you said, Jayda, subhanallah. And what I can hear is really, so that we can also go back to the main theme of the podcast, which is ihsan and excellence, is like there's no doubt that the success of your products is due to the excellence you were looking for, producing excellent products. Like at every step, like from the beginning, from the intention that you had, the concept, and then all the way through to the production, and then making sure that everything is safe, all of these standards, subhanallah, like it's really excellence and ihsan from A to Z, subhanallah.
May Allah accept, inshallah.
May Allah accept, subhanallah, and may you inspire other businesses, to take this path and have the courage to try this, because we have so many amazing ideas.
Yeah.
But like you said, we can be scared or have this limiting belief. How can I do that? And subhanallah, you never know until you try.
Absolutely. I mean, even that whole concept of what you're saying about excellence and ihsan, you don't have to be perfect. That's the thing. I mean, a lot of people, I think, when they think about ihsan and they think about these words, it's not about being perfect, but it's actually
not the same. It's not the same.
Exactly. It's about striving towards that.
Yeah.
And that journey in itself, Allah will see your intentions, and may Allah accept your intentions.
Amen.
Because with everything that from day one of creating this business, it was never to like sell products. It was, how can I inspire faith in my children? Because my faith is what got me through the darkest moments in my life. When I lost my daughter, what was it that got me through? It was my faith. And I want my children to grow up being, knowledgeable and being, somebody who is loving their lifestyle because of their faith, because it is the way, a way for us to live our life, not a set of rules, but it's our lifestyle to feel like, we're blessed, we're thankful, we're grateful for everything we have. And if you don't have these conversations with your children from a young age, they'll never realize these things. We buy them things all the time. We buy them clothes, we buy them games, we buy them all these. How many of them are grateful? How many of them actually look at these things and think, wow, there's children out there who don't have food on their plate, and here I am complaining, I don't want to eat this, I want something else. And you know what, we give in. And it's terrible, because we're not teaching them to be grateful for what they have. We're not teaching them that they should be grateful they've got two parents in the house that are doing this for them and giving them that time, that their father or their mother is working tirelessly to be able to provide. When do we teach these things? It should come from a very young age, where they have appreciation. It's not necessarily saying, oh, look, your dad is doing this or your mom is doing it. It's not vocally actually saying these words, but it's all about, if we teach them what it means to be blessed, if we teach them what it means to be thankful and grateful, they'll witness it themselves and they'll have these conversations with you. And that, I think, ultimately is what we're trying to do with our brand. We're trying to make every moment you have with your children meaningful, and every moment that you have to create those conscious connections with family, with your creator, with your parents, make you appreciate what you have. And also think, how can I go beyond, and how can I be that person that my parents would be happy with? Because one thing we have to understand, like when I studied psychology, one of the things that we did case studies of is about when you immerse a child within an environment and what they pick up. So imagine immersing your child in an environment where it's normal to use words like salam, and to say what sabr means and what shukr means and what being grateful. We've used the English words and we've used the Arabic words in some of our products for them to see as an everyday thing. My son, who's 3 years old, has picked up the Arabic alphabet. Why? Because he sees it every day on his dinner plate. He sees it on a bib. So it's basically become very much normal for him to turn around and say, oh, is that alif? Is that ba? He knows his English alphabet even more because he's seen that all the time, whether he goes to school and everything. So for me, it was very important that he also picks up the Arabic alphabet because, me as a busy mom, am I going to always have the time to sit down and make him actually go through a book and learn Alif Ba Ta? No, I'm not. That's being realistic. But I feel guilty when I can't sit with him. But now I've made it easier because when he's eating his dinner, he actually points at these letters and he'll say, oh, what letter is this? And I've gone through it with him enough times now for him to know what they are.
MashaAllah,
So it's all
amazing.
about making it easy and giving the tools, of learning our faith.
Yeah, so many aspects to this product and concepts. That's incredible. And again, we talked about it before, like the pitfall of confusing perfection with excellence and ihsan, because these are two very different things. And like as you were speaking, I couldn't help but thinking about, one of the definition of ihsan at the end of the day is really having this strong connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you are always reminded of him. Like we always remember Allah as soon as often as possible. And when we remember him, he remembers us. And creating this environment is actually conducive to this state of mind, which is, I need to be remembering Allah as often as possible.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the stage of ihsan, like behaving, like your actions and what you say and even what you think has to be aligned with the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you can't see him, he sees you all the time. And this is this level that we are striving. Again, we're not saying, yeah, we've made it.
And that's the important point that you said, which is striving. And I think
but we are striving, and because we know we have this as like we are making the intention, this is where we would like to be. We're not there yet, and we don't know are we ever going to be there, but we are trying and we are striving. And so my next question for you, Jayda, is, like, you've talked a lot about everything that has to do with your products and how it's just part of your life now.
Yeah.
But is there anything else, like for you more personally, what it means to strive to become a woman of Ihsan?
I think as a mother, we probably put that as more importance because we're always striving to see if we can get our children on the right step, I guess. And it's very tough for moms, I think, because and that's the very reason I created these products. It's very, very tough for parents, not just moms, but it is, I think, a bit harder for moms because we can't go out to the masjid and hear these lectures. It's not further upon us to go every Friday and listen to the khutbah, for instance, to give us those reminders to keep us on the right path. And it's very difficult. We almost feel guilty that here we are at home, yet again, I've got to change another nappy, I've got to do this, what about my extra zikr that I wanted to do, what about the Quran reading that I decided I wanted to do today? I think when we talk about ihsan, we almost feel like we have to do all those things to be able to become somebody of ihsan. And personally, I don't think that's, I struggle with these thoughts, which is why I'm saying it, but I also have to understand that as a mother, we are rewarded immensely for what we do for our children, and how we are and what they emulate from us is also going to impact who we are as individuals and how our children are as individuals. Because don't forget, they are a reflection of us. How we are behind closed doors and how we are outside of the closed doors, our children see all that. So we can't blame our children if they behave in a certain way outside, when you very much can see, oh, you're impatient with them and they don't have patience. So, somebody who's striving to have ihsan, I think you've always got to be conscious of who you are as an individual. Who are you trying to please? And, learning, I suppose, if we don't have patience, how do we learn to get that patience? Because people will say, oh, have sabr, but how do you get that sabr? How? These are the things I think we need to learn. And one thing I think our Prophet also described to us is doing zikr to actually help us. It's almost like a form of meditation for us. And that actually helps us to rethink. They even say before you give an answer, even in the Western world, they say before you give an answer, give yourself 10 seconds to think before you answer with anger. But that actually already is prescribed to us. Do zikr in your heart, sit down, do wudu, calm yourself before you give an answer. That's already there. It's already prescribed in our faith, not to instantly answer with emotion. So hopefully I've answered that. I think I've gone off tangent, but
well, I don't know, you know best about yourself.
I think,
and I think, again, I like asking this question because we are all different.
yeah.
And not only are we all different, but depending on which season of life we are in, we will also have a different answer.
Absolutely. And I think if you asked me in Ramadan, I'd probably have another answer.
Exactly. It's just the way it is. But and again, we are just striving, we are trying our best. And sometimes our best might not look so impressive.
Yeah.
But it's just
that's the thing. Everybody's on their individual journey. Like even with me, and what you see on social media as well is not everything. So I think that's another difficulty. We are in a generation where everybody sees, oh, this person is living their life, but you don't know what's happening behind, closed doors, and you don't know what's happening behind the camera. And that's the thing. Everybody's going through their own struggles. They might only be showing you the positive parts of their life. I don't always get to show what happens behind the scenes of building up on subhanallah. It has been an absolute roller coaster for us. I've got my elderly mother-in-law as well at home, and I've got 3 children as well, and my youngest only has turned like 3 recently. So you can imagine, and I've had him with me. Only recently he started school. I've had him with me 24/7 whenever I've had to do. If I go to the office, I have to take him with me. And we used to have a playpen within the office so that he can play. But it got to a point where he would chuck all the balls out of the playpen. So my whole office became a playpen. But it's the sort of things I had to do, in the background.
Nothing comes easy.
Nothing does.
We have to be prepared for that.
Even
nothing comes easy.
Yeah, when I was doing the John Lewis pop-ups, the very first pop-up I did, my son was still in his nappy. And so my mother-in-law, she's quite elderly, she can't exactly change him. And my daughter was 11 at the time. So she was like, oh, I can do it. I go, no, you're not. So I used to have to travel all the way to John Lewis, and then she'd ring me saying, Mommy, he needs a nappy change. And I'd, especially if he did a number 2, I'd literally have to come on the train, come home. This is like an hour's journey. I'd come home, change him, and go back. So that's the kind of stuff I had to do when we did our first pop-up. But do you know what? When you've got the right intentions and you're onto something, that inshallah, even when I'm gone from this world, may Allah leave it as a legacy that actually helps the ummah, that actually makes an impact on the ummah and humanity as well, to make them better people and a better world. And that's, I think, the ultimate intention. Then you kind of see your hardship as, this is just what I've got to do. You don't see it as an individual thing. It's just what I've got to do. Like, I have to make sure I've got things cooked, I've got the household chores done, I get the kids to help out, to do these sort of things. Alhamdulillah, my daughter's quite mature, so she's quite good with my 3-year-old, so I don't have to worry too much. And my elderly mother-in-law, I don't want her to have to do anything that she doesn't, is not capable of doing. So I make sure everything is done before I go out, or if I've got meetings, or if I've got anything, I'll make sure everything is sorted so that she doesn't have to worry. And I'm just grateful that she's at home, and whenever I am at least I know there's an adult in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very considerate. So for me, it's like, for me, it's a bonus. The fact. And then I also say to my mother-in-law, I go, you know what, because you're at home, it's nice for my children to see and learn from you, because I feel like with the older generation, the knowledge that they can impart, we're nowhere near capable of doing the things they did at our age. And, how they behave and how they see respect and everything else. Our children can see how we treat our parents, and I think that's beautiful, because not the younger kids don't get to see their grandparents. So for me, it's just such a bonus for them to be able to see how, like, my husband treats his mom. How, like, my husband will come home, first thing he will do is go and give his mom a kiss on the forehead. And it, when they see this sort of affection, it's beautiful. I see my kids come home and do that now.
Yeah.
And it's lovely, because they see that as that's the normal way to behave.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so important what you've said.
It is.
Yeah.
And I always say to them, we don't know how long we've got her for. So, and at that age, we don't know how we'll behave. So I always say to them, be patient. Sometimes she didn't hear what you said, or, and I try to teach them. That's teaching them to be patient,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Teaching them to, be respectful, and all of that sort of things, which doesn't come in I think, when these days, where it's just the mom, the dad, who are out at work all day, some strangers looking after them, and then they come home and we're expecting them to just behave normal and behave how we want them to behave, but we're bringing our stresses home with us. Where is that stability in that home? So it's very difficult. I'm not saying that both parents can't work. It's very difficult in this society where both parents have to work, unfortunately. So yeah, I do feel like, alhamdulillah, I'm quite blessed the fact that I've got my mother-in-law as well, who actually can impart knowledge and actually be there for my kids as well.
MashaAllah. Amazing. Amazing. We're just having such a great conversation. We're just thinking about what's next for me. Like, you've shared so much, and but I still have a couple of questions for you. Like, one of them I also find interesting, for us as, women in general, whether we are married or not, whether we have kids or not. Like, like, for you, Jayda, what are the routines that you have, that you try to do on a regular basis, that, that help you keep that balance and achieve this quote unquote success?
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I have a proper routine.
It's okay.
It's so difficult, because I feel like every day, obviously I know I've got my workload, but then I've got the household chores, and I've always got like guests coming to the house. I've got like yeah. So because my mother-in-law is like, she's one of the elders in like their generation, so we'll have a lot of visitors, and we've got a lot of family friends who also come to see us, and it's just, I have a busy household at the same time. So I think I have to pre-plan. So I'll like bulk cook and things like that, just to kind of know that that day at least I don't have to worry, and I don't have to
Yeah,
stress.
that's a good habit to have.
I think you have to do it when it falls on you. That's the other thing. I think for a lot of people, they think, oh, I'm not doing enough. Just don't be hard on yourself, because you do what you can. You're on your own journey. And like I said, till this day, I don't think I have a proper routine of anything. My son's only recently started school, so I know I've got a few more hours in the day now where I can get some work done. But at the same time, like I said, I might get unexpected guests. I might get, something that I need to do for my mother-in-law, I need to do for the kids, or, there's always going to be something. But I think essentially I have the longest to-do lists. So I think I just feel good if I can at least tick off 3 of those things on that list each day. But the one thing I would say, that obviously for anybody, routine should revolve around your prayers, your prayer timetable. So for me,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You have this anyway.
Yeah. So for me, it has to be, obviously I know before Zuhr, or around that time I've got to do X, Y, and Z. So it's my timetable will revolve around the prayer times, no matter what I'm doing. So I think that's just like a given, but I guess for some people maybe not. But I think for me it's just like, that's just normal. So I didn't even think it was worth mentioning, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we take for granted the smallest things that we do, or the things that we do automatically. Like you said, I like with the bulk cooking and so on, like so many, they wouldn't come, like it would be an idea, like some people, wow, that's genius, I've never thought
Yeah.
about it.
But one thing is, which is quite good actually, I get my kids to, so they know how to peel onions, they know how to prep the veg. So that sort of thing I'll get them to do and help me out. So on a weekend, I'll try and like bulk do, like most of the time, obviously we're cooking curries and every curry needs like several onions. So, and I've literally just taught one of them to use the blender. So I'll help them put the things in and they can blend it for me. And then we'll put them into containers. So whenever I have to do some cooking, it's just so much quicker and so much easier to have these ready. And then I just keep a couple of curries and stuff in the fridge. And honestly, I do feel like curries are the best thing when it comes to longevity of, like, the curries actually get better the next day. So whereas I feel like when you cook other foods like English foods, you have to eat it there and then. It has to be eaten, or you cannot reheat that food and have that same taste again.
Yeah.
You just can't. Who reheats beans on toast, So that's what I'm saying. Like for us, I think that's the benefit, that I can pre-cook a lot of these things. And like even like when we cook like keema, when you cook like mincemeat, we can have it as a curry one day, the next day I can put it into a pasta, the following day I can, you know what I mean? It's so versatile. I love it. But things like that, I think you've got to pre-plan. Anything can happen, so you've got to pre-plan.
Amazing. Yeah, you see, that's great. Yeah, I mean, again, because you do that on a regular basis, you don't even think it's worth mentioning, but
Yeah.
like these are very, very useful tips.
Okay.
And, like you delegate to your kids whatever they can do. That's also super important because sometimes we feel like, oh no, I have to do everything all by myself.
Yeah.
But you don't have to actually.
We need to teach them responsibility. That's the other thing, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
we almost mollycoddle our children now. I remember I did a lot of things for my mum. As soon as I'd come home from school, bags down, get changed, I'd be like, what do you need me to do? Kind of thing. I didn't even have to ask. I knew I needed to like hoover the house, or I needed to like help out something in the kitchen. And you just kind of like sort. Now kids just wait around and like, well, you didn't ask me to do it. So I try to kind of make them see it's every day. Like a couple of years ago, I dislocated my shoulder, so I couldn't. I stopped hoovering and stuff because I have no muscle on my left shoulder, unfortunately,
Oh my
because
God.
I fell down the stairs and I was holding onto the banister when I fell, and it popped out.
Oh my God.
And then, even worse, I popped it back in myself. And then I didn't go to the doctors because like, I fixed it.
So this is what you don't have, like, please don't do this at home.
Yeah, basically. So I think about 6 months later, I was having physio for my back, and my physiotherapist was like,
You didn't go to the doctors at all.
I sort of, what, it went back in. I popped it back in somehow, screamed in pain, and whatnot and I was in a lot of pain, I think, for a couple of days. I was having like ibuprofen, paracetamol, and all that, but I just left it. And then when you kind of just get used to a certain pain, you just don't even think about it. That's kind of what it became, and I didn't even think about it. And I think it just healed itself in that way. And then I was having physio for my back. So I've got like, throughout my pregnancies, my back was completely like gone. So I was having that, and then my physiotherapist was like, your posture when you're standing, there's something wrong with your left shoulder. Did something happen? Oh, I got about 6 months ago, I fell down the stairs and I dislocated my shoulder. And she was like, right, you're rebooking for your shoulder now for physio. And I had it x-rayed and stuff, and I've actually torn something inside, which needs an operation to fix. I've just never had it done because I don't want to have it done.
Oh,
so I mean, so yeah, so they basically said, because it might not 100% heal anyway, because it's like within, I don't even know what it's called, but they did like an x-ray and did like a scan, and they saw what it was inside. So they said there's something ripped. I don't even know what it is, but through physio, they did say I could build up the muscle. So yeah, so I stopped doing things like hoovering and stuff because it was so difficult for me. So I actually ended up getting my kids to get into a routine where they have to hoover every day. And if it's too much for them, because we've got a lot of stairs in our house, so they split it between them, because I've got a 12-year-old now and I've got 10-year-old. So they'll split it between them. And then every weekend they will clean all the windows, the mirrors. We have like a little routine, the sideboards and all that. They'll wipe things down. And my little one, who's 3 years old, who loves to help in air quote marks, yes, he will have a little spray bottle on him and he will clean my fridge for the whole day, basically. Like literally the outside of the fridge, and he'll wipe it just to
Amazing.
show
That's
his
cute.
playing a part. Yeah.
Yeah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Well,
But
you
it's
see?
nice to get them involved, and I think to have that routine with them as well, because
Mhm.
we need to teach them responsibility. In this generation, we just feel like we've got to do everything.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They don't learn, and their intelligence levels are so low purely because they're sitting there on a tablet or watching TV. In our house, we actually, for 4 years, we didn't have the TV. We actually completely stopped putting the TV on when my second one started going to school, because it started becoming background noise. When it's just constantly on,
Mhm.
it became background noise. And my husband was like, what is this? Like, and in my parents' house, we didn't have the TV on all the time.
Mhm.
And, out of respect, we wouldn't even put it on in front of my dad and stuff. So it was literally like, very rarely, if we did, they watched the news or they watched some kind of like snooker or something like that.
Oh, this was another time,
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I grew up. I never watched a single Bollywood movie. That's literally how I grew up. We were not allowed things like that. So yeah, so like my husband was just like, why is it our kids are just like literally the TV's on constantly,
Mhm.
and they're growing up on like this becoming background noise, really. So in the end, I think when my second one started school, we just completely stopped putting the TV on. And alhamdulillah, I saw the bond between them two, like my eldest two, become a lot stronger because they had to play with each other.
Yeah.
They had to find things to do. And, even the teachers would say, they're the only two that are attentive when we put something on the screen. They're so deprived. They would sit there,
Bonus.
yeah, they would actually be like, oh, I want to watch this. It's on a screen. But, what I did used to allow was family time. So if I ever put something on, it had to be something I knew. It had to be like a cartoon or whatever it was that I'm aware of that doesn't have any bad scenes in it, or something that's not going to be going against our faith. So I wouldn't mind them watching certain things. We would make it family time, or we would make it like the siblings, they can just sit down and watch something. I might have a marathon of cooking to do, so I might just say to them, I'm gonna treat you because you've been so good today, and just put on like a movie that I know that they can watch for 2 hours and I can get something done.
Yeah.
But you know what? Because they don't always watch TV, they were happy to sit there for 2 hours and watch it.
Yeah. 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 Amazing. Amazing. I have to ask you now, what message or piece of advice would you like to give to the younger sisters who are listening to the podcast?
I think believe in yourself and have those big dreams, because we are our own downfall by thinking that we have this limiting belief that we can achieve things. But make dua for it and work hard for it, because Allah's not going to just put it on a silver platter for you. But if you have belief that you can achieve something and you have these big dreams that you want to achieve something, then make dua for it. And if it benefits the ummah, then amazing. And for me, obviously, personally, it was the fact that I wanted to do something that benefits the ummah, but it could be any career that you're aiming towards, or whatever this idea that you have in your mind. Ask Allah to guide you and help you, and duas go a long way. I think I'm a living proof of that. Subhanallah. I don't think I can name anybody else who has achieved in a short space of time, subhanallah, what I've achieved with once upon a dua, without ever thinking I ever could. And who would have thought, after the loss of my daughter, that when I couldn't even say her name for 3 years, she became my strength, really, to create this brand that's going to make the world a better place. So don't ever believe that you can't achieve. Don't ever believe that whether you're a single person, whether you're a mom, whether you're a wife, that you can't do enough to please Allah, because we're all on our individual journeys. But if we make dua and we make the right kind of intentions, then inshallah we will move mountains to achieve them.
Beautiful. Jazakallah khairan for this. And last but not least, who would you like to see on the podcast as a guest? And what would you like to ask her?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think you've already brought quite a few people that I know onto your podcast. Oh, there's Jennifer from Sisters in Business. Have you invited her yet?
Episode 1.
Oh, okay, you've already done her. I'm trying to think who else. I think you've done majority of the ones I know.
Maybe someone that's not, but who's not known.
What about Sina Port? She has a great story. I'll send you her link, Sina Port. She's really good.
What would you like to ask her?
I'd love to ask her how she overcame her struggles, and I'd love to ask her. I think she already does like a course, I think, to help other women to overcome these things, and achieve and use their, what was it you said? Disadvantage. What was it you said earlier?
The unfair advantage.
Yeah, unfair advantage. She actually says she uses the fact that she's a visible Muslimah as her unfair advantage in a role that you wouldn't see Muslim women in. And she used to do like podcasts and talks about Muslim women and how these big companies should do more to represent. And then they actually reached out to her, took her on to help design hijabs for Adidas. Oh yeah, she was amazing. That's one I would.
That rings a bell. But you share the details with me,
Another
inshallah.
one, I've never seen her talk though. Saida Huck, I think the one she does it for Nike. She does those abayas for Nike.
I don't know about her.
Yeah, so I've never seen her actually speak. Never seen her. I think she wears the full veil as well. But I've never heard her talk, to be honest. So not sure if she would come on. But yeah, she ended up with a contract with Nike, and she does sporty abayas. Yeah, she's a self-taught designer as well, so she's done amazing.
Amazing. You share that with me.
Yes, I do.
So thank you so much for this. I will share in the episode notes where people can find you and Once Upon a Dua, the website, and tell me again what's your Instagram, any other places where we can, follow you on social media.
So I think if you Google Once Upon a Dua, you'll find our Instagram is Once Upon a Dua _official. That's the same for our TikTok as well, Once Upon a Dua _official. And I think we're on LinkedIn as well as Once Upon a Dua. And our website is onceuponadua.com. So it's quite simple.
Okay.
But yeah, those are the main places that you can find us.
Okay, amazing. Jayda, it was a great conversation.
Alhamdulillah, likewise.
I loved it. And everyone who's been listening, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this episode. And please, if you did, you know what you have to do. You have to like, and you have to share, and you have to comment. And again, you share and you subscribe to the YouTube channel or whatever platform you're listening this on. This is very, very helpful. So that the podcast gets more visibility, so that more people get to know about it. So yeah, share with your friends and family. And we'll see you in the next episode, inshallah. Jayda, jazakallah khairan. And salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.